Good day, my esteemed viewers. Welcome to ANT News. Today, we are going to be talking about the fulfillment of our current government's promises that was given in 2023. How well is it working out for us? That's what we are going to talk about. But before this, let me read you an article by the president himself concerning his promises so far. Okay, now from the president, he says Nigeria is no longer bleeding. We are now moving to prosperity. Tinubu says. Okay, President Bola Tinubu has said that his administration has, in the last 12 months, stopped the bleeding experienced across the country. Tinubu, who said this while receiving a delegation of the Yoruba leaders of Thought at the State House on Friday, May 24th, also emphasized that governance must be transformative and address citizens' critical needs. A statement released by the President's Special Advisor on Media and Publicity, Ajuri Ngalale, read, "It has been challenging, it has been fulfilling as well. We took over and we stopped the bleeding. I can say categorically now that Nigeria is no longer bleeding and it will not bleed to death, but rather we will now move to prosperity. This is the promise that I made to you all, and it is also the charge that you gave to me. We are managing to swim through the pond. The current is not a good one. We will turn the tide. We are turning the bend. This I assure you, I am being very careful. The worst is over for Nigeria. We will prevail. I thank the team who has been working really hard. All I can promise is that we will do whatever it takes. We are determined and we will work so that all Nigerians can feel the impact of good governance. The president assured Nigerians that his administration will ensure they get value for every kobo spent and that his government will leave a lasting legacy of prosperity to future generations while removing the yoke of poor governance and expanding access to qualitative public goods. He said, we will get value for our money, and it is not for ourselves, but for our children. Our children will not inherit the burden of bad governance, yet they will enjoy the prosperity of Nigeria as a blessed nation from our very hands. From our sweat, we will bequeath to them a nation full of pride and prosperity. Now you have this coming from the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Okay, talking about Nigeria is no longer bleeding, is this, we are doing that, sequel to the 1 year anniversary of his office. Okay, having said this, there's really a lot to talk about. There's really a lot to talk about and a lot of things to emphasize on. Okay, now the very first question is what exactly is the bleeding you stopped? What you didn't pinpoint these bleedings, be specific on your examples or what blood you actually stopped because from my part of the country, from the area of the country where I am in, we are almost dead, like bleeding out. Okay, and you just come publicly saying that you've stopped the bleeding of the country. From what ends, please? Categorically speaking, generally speaking, specifically speaking, I think the bleeding is still on. Okay, and you have to a large extent you fail to keep up to your promises. But what you keep doing is coming out with grammars and English that wants to change the minds of what we already see you as. That it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. You can't come and tell us that our wounds are healed when we are still seeing a fresh wound on our leg. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way, please. Nigeria, I hold with great patronage and respect, but sadly, we are still bleeding. And you can't just wake up one day because it's your 1 year anniversary and tell us that we are not bleeding when we are still in a lot of pain right now. In other news, electricity tariff to crash with time, says FG Minister. Minister of Power Adebayo Adelabu has said that the pain that came with increased tariff in the country is a temporary phase which would pass. While representing his ministerial scorecard in Abuja on Friday, May 24th, Adelabu said electricity distribution companies, discussed, are now responsive to their duties because the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission (NERC) has improved on its oversight over them. He added that the electricity tariff will crash over time, just like telecom's tariff, Adelabu said. It might look expensive at the moment. I am optimistic that these tariffs will go down. We know how much we are buying SIM cards when telecoms first came. We know how much we were buying the telephone sets, but gradually it scaled off. Generation, transmission, and distribution, these prices will also go down. So it is a temporary hardship and it will lead to permanent gain. The power minister further revealed that the Nigerian Electricity Supply Industry (NESI) has introduced a guaranteed service level for the Band A customers that get a minimum of 20 hours of supply per day for the first time in Nigeria. He said, "For the first time in Nigeria, we have what we call a guaranteed service level. It might be for Band A today, but no government has ever guaranteed 20 hours of supply, not even 1%, not to even 1% of customers, but to 15% of customers. We said, let us start from here, and we have guaranteed service level for Band A customers with the introduction of cost-reflective tariffs to that band, including liquidity conditions suitable for driving investment." Having said this or having read this, these are just words. These are just mere words coming out from you people's mouths. And guess what they say about words? Talk is cheap. Talk is really cheap because you keep on telling us it will pass, it will pass. Like, are we going forward or we are going backward? You're reminiscing to then when telecoms were expensive and how to get a phone was very, very hard. And we moved to a stage where it got easy, and we are meant to move to a stage where it's getting easier, but you're bringing us back, telling us that we are going to come back to the easy stage again. Okay, so what are we doing? Is this merry-go-round, or we are going back and front? There's no room for growth. I don't really get it. You're telling us that you've stopped the bleeding, and you're telling us that we should be hopeful for prosperity to come. Have we not passed that stage of hoping for prosperity? Have we not reached that stage of the prosperity level itself? Ranging from the revenue that is being generated from this country, if put into the right things, I think this it will go a long way. There's a hike in prices, there's a hike in the inflation rates. Okay, poverty is on the high rise, and you're telling us that you've stopped the bleeding, and you're telling us that it's just a phase, it will soon pass. What are we, kids? No, I think we can do better than this. We can do better than this. We are meant to be a developed country already, but for the sake of bad governance and poor leadership qualities, we are still like a struggling country. No offense, but I really feel that there are just a lot of things you're not doing. You're just serving as a figurehead. There are really a lot of things you're not doing, and your government is taking us nowhere. Until you understand this and understand what you stand for and what you owe us as a country, that is when your administration will start making sense or making more sense. Thank you.